More now on our top story, the car crash involving Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, early today near the Queen's Sandringham Estate, and Buckingham Palace has confirmed that the Duke was driving the vehicle, but he walked away from the crash unhurt. I'm joined now from West London by our royal commentator, Alastair Bruce, and from Central London by the royal historian, Kate Williams. Very good evening to you both, and again to you, Alistair. So I'll start with Kate, if you don't mind. Just your reaction, first of all, Kate. I'm sure you've seen the still photographs of the aftermath of that accident. Quite shocking.
They are quite shocking. It does look quite a collision, that there has been quite an impact between the Duke's Land Rover and the other car, the people carrier, that was obviously going along the road when it looked like the Duke was coming out of the drive onto the A road. So it does seem, quite a collision that obviously the Land Rover turned over, and it is a great relief to hear that no one has been injured, that the Duke himself was not injured. We hear he was shot from some sources, but not injured, checked at the scene, and that the people in the other car were treated for minor injuries and also have not needed to go to hospital. So I do think that's, really great news that no one has been injured, but obviously a bit of a severe crash here.
And Alistair, what it tells us is, because, we've been concerned, haven't we, about how the Duke is over the last few months, particularly not seeing him at the Royal Service on Christmas Day. I mean, it tells us that he was feeling very fit and fit enough to get behind the wheel today.
Yes, I would imagine he went out for a walk or something and drove to do that, and may have been either returning to Sandringham House or coming out from it. And it's a part of the world he knows extremely well. He is always keen to be physically active, and he's driven all his life. And I think all of us know older people who don't wish to lose that independence. And I'm sure that because he knows the ground and because he's always very well looked after, that he would have set out hoping, like we all do when we go onto the roads, that he'd be all right. And this has happened, and I dare say when the police arrived, they looked into it in very much the way that everyone would. And as Kate was saying, it's a relief nobody was injured, and even light injuries for the others in the other car, and we hope they'll get better very quickly.
But Kate, it also tells us something else about the character of the Duke, doesn't it? I mean, Alistair there saying that, of course, he doesn't want to lose his independence, but he's in the fortunate position, unlike many other elderly people, where there are plenty of other people who would be willing and perhaps advising him that they should drive. But clearly, he's a man of very strong will and opinions.
He is a man of strong will and opinions, and he is a man who is incredibly independent, as Alistair was saying, and he loves driving. He loves motor driving, he loves carriage driving. He really takes a great pleasure in it, and was he not to be allowed to drive, I think he would find that quite painful, because the Duke, he doesn't see himself as 97. He sees himself as very much younger, as a very much younger man. He's always been fit, he's always been healthy, and he really is the type of person he's always been, is never to give in to physical weakness. So I think ageing is something that is quite painful for him. And if you asked him, he'd say he felt like he was in his 60s or even younger. So if there is to be, I know there's been lots of comments on social media, I've been keeping up with it, lots of comments on that perhaps it may be that he no longer should be driving. I think that if that is the case, that perhaps he can only stay driving within the estate but no longer on public roads, I think he'll find that quite hard.
I wanted to ask Alistair about that. I mean, a lot of people are not familiar with just how large the Sandringham Estate is and the surrounding roads. How much do you know about the layout?
Well, it's basically a number of different farms that were bought for the Prince of Wales, who was called Albert Edward, who was the eldest son of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And it is vast, really. It's pretty much flat land. It's what you expect to find in that part of North Norfolk, and it is really littered with a large number of small lanes, and they meet slightly bigger roads. And of course, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, quite a lot of people are on the move around that part of Norfolk, and the Duke would have been trying to get onto one of these slightly bigger roads, it would seem, and everyone involved hopes that they won't get into an accident of any kind, but I see this has clearly happened, and a horrific turn. It looks like the Duke of Edinburgh's vehicle went rolling over a few times. It would seem from the photographs to be upside down, maybe it's once, maybe twice, and you know, that's quite alarming for anybody. And if you're 97, I'm sure he must be terribly shocked by what happened, and good that he's back with the Queen at Sandringham House, and he's been visited by a doctor, and the announcement from Buckingham Palace is that he was uninjured.
Okay, and Kate, last thought from you. I was mentioning with Alistair earlier, I know I've seen those pictures of the Duke and his carriage driving. He really enjoys that sport, doesn't he? And he's had one or two spills while he's been doing that over the years.
He has had one or two spills. The Duke is someone who he loves physical activity, he loves exercise, he loves driving, he loves being on the move. He's not the kind of person who wants to be at home with his feet up. That is anathema to him. So he's determined and someone you might say sometimes does like to take some risks. And I think it's obviously going to be really quite shaking for him and quite a surprise and quite a shock that he has suffered coming out on what looks like a reasonably simple driving manoeuvre has come into something that became this crash, and as Alistair was saying, overturned perhaps twice. So I think it's going to be really tough for him, and I think he's really going to be grateful that the Queen is there by his side, supporting him.
OK, Kate, very good to talk to you. Kate Williams there and Alastair Bruce. I'm sure I'll be talking to you again very soon.